What is the challenge that keeps you awake at night when you talk about B2B marketing, and an opportunity that excites you the most to live up to the challenge?
So that's a good question, because nurture has been a big topic for us, right? Let's say if you come for my event and post that event, I send you some EDM materials.
Yeah.
Another person comes to the event, he or she gets the same material. So what we have developed over time is this concept of adaptive nurture.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Conundrums brought to you by the Economic Times Brand Equity. In this series, we dive deep into understanding B2B marketing challenges. Unplugging B2B marketing, today with us, we have Mr. Kunaciilan Nallappan. He is the Vice President Marketing for Asia Pacific, Japan and China, F5. F5 is one of the leading enterprise solution providers securing the digital ecosystem, and we'll try and understand from him the challenges that he faces when it comes to marketing. Welcome to the show, Kuna. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Good. How has F5 successfully integrated growth marketing to its strategies and campaigns? Could you shed some light on examples that you have with you?
Yeah, so from a F5 perspective, the way we develop campaigns from start is really looking at three elements. One is really the data insights. First, we start with data insights. And then following that, we are very careful in segmenting the audience. So using the data together, we segment the audience. And finally, and I think for me, the most important part of this is really the alignment with the stakeholders, in particular the sales team. So data insights, customer segmentation, alignment with the sales team, all this put together kind of creates I would say, the perfect biryani for a nice campaign, in a way.
Great. In what way do you approach segmentation? You mentioned about segmentation, but and also is it personalization at the core of it after you have segmented the audience?
It's a good question. So segmentation first starts with how our stakeholders segment their customers. So from the very start, we look at customer segmentation in terms of the size of the audience, the verticals they come from. So in F5, from a marketing perspective, we look at segmentation in two areas. One is the verticals. Which are the important verticals we play in? So for example, banking and finance is a segment by itself as a vertical, government and service providers. So these are big vertical segments. And then we have the horizontal segments, which are broad-based. So the important thing about segmenting it this way is, for the vertical segments, we create stories and campaigns that resonate within the verticals. For example, a bank will have issues and challenges that all banks will have. So we could create campaigns that's kind of sounds relevant to them.
Yeah.
Whereas for the horizontal segments, because they are mid-market or general enterprise companies, we can use a use case that will work across the horizontal segments. So doing segments that way not only aligns with the sales way of approaching the customers, but it also helps us create messages better.
Fantastic. I want to understand from you, how does data play a role in you arriving to your decisions that you take? And because every time we talk to marketeers, we hear that there is abundance of data, but most of it is noise. And when you are dealing with business buyers mentality, how do you actually leverage data for decision making?
So you're right. It's a lot of data. But going back to my biryani example, right? To cook the right biryani, you need the right raw material, right? So picking the right spices. So from a marketing perspective, there are a couple of data that me and my team narrow down on. First is, we look at an account and really think about the propensity of the account. So today there are a lot of data analytic tools out there that can really work out the propensity of buying for an account. So because we have an historical view of what they bought, and using third-party data, we can kind of do a predictive modeling in terms of what they are likely to buy. So hash that together and throw in a dose of AI and ML, nowadays the most used word. You create a model where you can create a propensity-based approach towards a set of accounts.
Correct.
So that's one. Second is what I would call intent data. So the first is first and third-party data meshed together. The third is behavioral intent data. Say, for example, if you are my customer, today with the tools and technologies we have in our stack, we are able to look at what are you looking for in our website? What are you looking for in the watering holes that our partners are owning, right? So put that together, and with the insights that we have from sales, which is tribal, you create a model where you can then use this data to create a bespoke campaign, which is very targeted.
Okay. Fantastic. And what are your optimization techniques? And are they, because we call this show Conversions Conundrums, so are there approaches that helped you in optimizing effectively?
Of course, obviously, that's a big KPI for all marketers, right? So first is to have very clear goals in terms of what are you targeting, right? So for me and my team, the biggest ROI for us is when we can create meetings out of the accounts that we are targeting, and then converting it to pipeline. Now, the way we optimize these metrics to get the maximum output is really, we call it A/B testing. So from a messaging standpoint, we usually create 2 or 3 messages, and we test it with the target audience. We kind of segregate the audience and test the 2 messages and see which works. And then whichever works better, we apply it, and then we optimize the message to make it better. So it's a bit like iterative. We keep testing the message, looking at the outcomes, and then we keep iterating. Plus, at every stage of optimization, we get input from our stakeholders to say, hey, how's your customer responding to that? And then trying to build on that feedback as well.
Wow, so content really plays a key role here, right? And do you think this, you mentioned AI and ML, do you think generative AI can help you in using, developing content that helps you personalize at scale?
Well, it's still very early stages, but I can share an example where, firstly, I think the basics, right? Like, for example, we used to use human translation engines for data for content in Japanese and Chinese. And recently we started using GPT-based, Gen AI-based tools. And immediately what we observe is contextually the translation is different. As you put through the same messages in different forms through the AI engine, the contextual understanding of the AI is better. So it saves money and time as well. So it definitely helped, and it's something we are already doing. And I think moving forward, we would like to explore the next step in terms of, can AI, using the inputs in the past, generate content for a new audience type that you're asking it to generate? That's something I believe that we will get to, but at this point, it's still I would say, testing in progress.
Correct. And in this testing phase, what are the challenges do you see, in near future when you are utilizing AI for generating the content at scale you mentioned?
I think the first area of challenge which we're already seeing is the accuracy of the content being generated, right? Now, that is why it's a 2-step process. The AI generates the content, and the human still needs to vet it. I don't think we're at a stage where you take the AI content and straight off push it through your customers. Second is, when you are generating content, you need to be also take in first-party and third-party data. And issues of confidentiality and privacy comes in, right? What can you ask the AI to use to generate content versus what you can't? So there's also the issue of data and privacy. And third is AI bias. Who are you generating content for? And is there bias being added by the engine because of the various learning that GPTs usually do? So, I mean, these are not issues, these are common issues, but from a marketing perspective, I would say the third issue of preventing bias in content is very critical, especially in a world where we're trying to avoid biases based on classes and whatever types of different types of people, places and stuff.
Correct. How do you continuously enhance your conversion strategies based on the performance analytics that you have at your dashboard?
So again, like I said, we look at A/B testing, and then we also look at iterative data from sales, and we also look at what customers consume. So the actual consumption with what we're hearing from empirical feedback from sales, we put that together, and the next round of iteration, we tweak the content with the one that's better consumed, and based on also feedback from sales, changing the content to fit the customer requirements better.
Fantastic.
It's always a collaboration process. There's the machine and the human feedback that needs to be put together.
Okay, that's great. What role does lead nurturing play at F5 as B2B marketing, and how has it evolved over a period of time?
So that's a good question, because nurture has been a big topic for us, right? So in F5, we have a concept called always on nurture. So what we do is, my team runs events and programs that happens at a point in time. But in between those activities, we have something called the always on nurture that keeps sending messages, marketing messages to customers who attend the event in a continuous form. So it's a bit like drip. We call it drip nurture because we we drop one, we drop another EDM, we drop another EDM, and that's ongoing. However, over time, what I've observed is it has really reached a level where it's not efficient anymore.
Okay.
And the reason is because let's say if you come for my event and post that event, I send you some EDM materials.
Yeah.
Another person comes to the event, he or she gets the same material. So what we have developed over time is this concept of adaptive nurture, meaning to say that if you come to my event and you are a security persona and you have consumed material A on my first drop, I will then have the system look at what you consume and then decide what's the next next content piece that you want to consume.
Okay.
So the system makes a intelligent guess as to say, okay, if this person consumed content A, maybe the next path logically it should be B or a C.
Okay.
Versus just having the same 5 pieces of content go to thousands. So we adapt it in a way, and this has produced good results for us.
Great. You mentioned cybersecurity. I want to understand through your lenses how business buyers behave differently in different markets. Do you see any specific difference in Indian market compared to the China or Asia Pacific market that you lead overall?
Generally speaking, every customer wants to buy cybersecurity. As you know, cybersecurity is like buying an insurance.
Yeah.
It's in preparation for something that will happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I think what's happening is that customers are showing more maturity in understanding the need for security, and that's across most of the markets. It's just that in some markets, the evolution of the understanding of security is a lot higher, and there's a willingness to pay more to get more out of the security solutions. Whereas in other markets, there's still a lot of learning that's going on, and I think over time, this markets will catch up because the adoption of technologies that drive security needs is also evolving, like cloud, AI, ML. As nations, organizations adopt more of these enabling technologies, the need for security evolves with them as well.
Fantastic. And is it that a trigger point is there when you are dealing with a customer? I mean to ask, do they wait for a threat to hit them before they actually go and make this conversion decision or this buying decision?
I think customers, when they are under threat, the buying cycles shorten because now you are in the eye of the storm. You have to find a remedy. But I think so that there's this reactive purchases versus proactive purchases. Reactive purchases always has a shortest sales cycle, and customers have no choice but to buy them. Yeah. But I think as an industry, a lot more of these reactive purchases will drive the notion that we need to be proactive. Correct. So one leads to the other. So what I think we'll see is a lot more customers, especially in those regulated industries like government and finance, will tend to get more proactive in buying security.
Great. So does it define your challenges as a marketer? Will you now have to go and educate the business buyers more about this phenomenon, that don't wait for the threat to hit you, you can actually make a decision and save it because they see that as a cost?
Yeah, that's partly marketer's job, right? To not market the products or the solutions, which is the underlying requirement, but more to educate the customer on what threats they could potentially be facing.
Correct.
Because security threats keep evolving. It's a bit like the bad guys get innovative, so the good guys get better at it.
I want to ask you one more question, and that is, what is the challenge that keeps you awake at night when you talk about B2B marketing, and an opportunity that excites you the most to live up to the challenge?
I think I would say one of the biggest excitement that keeps me, I would say keep me up at night, but excites me is the fact that the emergence of new technologies. I'm particularly bullish about the potential that Gen AI is going to offer for marketing as a whole, and how it's going to make marketers better. And one that keeps me up at night is, how do I keep my team intact with these technologies coming in? How do we perform better as a team, both human and machine? I already joke with my team, right? Maybe my next new headcount and my request is a ChatGPT based headcount.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here. Thank you very much.